What's an absolutely devastating insult without any cuss words? There was a probably apocryphal post, or article somewhere. Can't remember where I read it. Gist of it was that a lawyer was asking a doctor if they'd checked for signs of life. He hadn't. Lawyer asks doctor how he could be sure the patient was dead. Doctor goes, because I could see his brain in a jar on my right. Lawyer asks, but could he have been alive anyway? Incredulous, the doctor just looks at him and responds something like, yeah, it's possible he's practicing law right here in this room. You're impossible to underestimate. Don't you realize that people just tolerate you? You're the human equivalent of a participation award. You're not pretty enough to be this stupid. You look like a visible fart. I envy people who haven't met you. I hope your date is as pleasant as you are. Whoever told you to be yourself couldn't have given you a worse advice. I always liked the retort from Cyrano to the Viscount trying to insult him. Ending with such, my dear sir, is what you might have said. Had you of liter letters the least jot. But, O most lamentable man of wit! You never had an atom, and of letters. You have 3 letters only, they spell ass. When Jon Stewart addressed Congress on behalf of the 9/11 first responders, he described Congress' blatant indifference and the fact that so many of them didn't even bother to attend as a stain on this institution or something to that effect. When I first heard it I was like, holy shit, what a sick burn, and it just never gets old. Also, like anything from Shorty, you can't even disappoint someone properly. What's the difference between you and E.T.? E.T. got the message and went home. Oh sweetie! With an aw face. Snoring mid-sentence and then waking, I'm sorry, Art was still talking. To bald me a favor and take a hint from your own hair and leave. A friend of mine caught chlamydia from a prostitute behind the dumpster of the local Denny's because he decided to have sex with her without a condom, even though she had told him she hadn't finished her course of antibiotics yet. And somehow that's now only the second dumbest idea I've heard about this week. I've always found the biggest insult is not knowing who somebody is. Whenever somebody confronts you with some issue you've caused, respond with some variation of for you. The day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday. You're stiff, inarticulate, slightly jaundiced, asymmetrical. You smell. The one on the right, there's something in your teeth. All in all, I'd say there's absolutely nothing worthwhile about either one of you. Quote the great Tim Curry's Nigel St. Nigel in Psych. I read a list of notable events posted by hotel workers. One said she delivered room service. A woman answered the door in the robe. Her male companion was in the bed and rolled over to show off his assets. The poster said, "Did you buy that in Thailand?" Ouch! If you're close to a person, exaggerating hand wafting him loudly saying they have bad breath, asking if they use dog turds for toothpaste works great. Totally disarms them and makes him self-conscious. Okay, I'm breaking the no cuss words, but one of the funniest things my deeply Catholic mother said about our neighbor whom she hated was, "I go to church every Sunday and pray that bitch will die." I bet your mommy and daddy wouldn't have such messed up lives if you were never born. NGO, someone told me this after they found out how broken my home life was, and years later it still hurts. A coworker who never showers, washes his clothes, or brushes his teeth was trying to intimidate me once, and I told them the scariest thing about him was his breath. He hasn't spoken to me since. A teacher called my son success avoidant 3 years ago and he still thinks about that every day. But it did motivate him to get an A in that class, and all his other classes too. I had to see for myself, but people are absolutely right about you. No cussing, no meanness, but they'll get paranoid about who's talking about them and their reputation. My friend broke my other friend's nose last night, and just off the top of my head I called them a sorry excuse for a human being. I think they really deserved that. For this you have to go to Shakespeare. Thou elvish marked, abortive, rooting hog. You're as a candle, the better burnt out. Villain, I have done thy mother. I once asked a guy I worked with if he was one of those babies that come out with the umbilical wrapped around their neck. I was serious and he was very upset about it. When I was a kid, I walked into the room and my mother looked up at me and said, "You know, if I were small enough, I could ski down that nose." She forgot. I didn't. You're sharp as a marble. Looks like your 2 brain cells are competing for third. Idiot sandwich. Vegan donut. I'm jealous of those who haven't met you. You're like the first piece of bread. Everyone touches you, but nobody wants you. You have a face for radio. I bet your family tree is a wreath. Your birth certificate is an apology letter from the condom factory. Were you born on the highway? Because that's where most accidents happen. Did your mother competitively eat dryer sheets when she was pregnant with you because there is not a single wrinkle in that skull of yours after someone fails at some task? I swear, you would struggle to pour water out of a boot if the instructions were written on the heel. Okay, no matter what the context BC, you likely don't care what they're saying at that point. In a swift pivot away from the person, I tell my mom it's never too late for an abortion on my brother, Terry's still time. He's 36 and usually in the room when I say it. Blink rapidly and be like, wait, what? Sorry, I wasn't listening. And if they do start, laugh and say sorry, I don't actually care. Don't mess with me or I'll bring you down to my level and beat you with experience. More of a cell phone, but still a good one. Look at my kids wrong. I will be all up in your face. No words needed. You might remember your name by sometime next week. If I have to spend the rest of eternity burning in hell, it's better than spending one good day in heaven with you. A dear Christian lady, trying to be diplomatic about my friend, said that he has an unfortunate personality. Ouch! My mom was always fond of telling people at least that you're pretty if they didn't have a whole lot going on upstairs. Brain. The pain of talking to you is like having both a heart attack, stroke and being ran over by a car at the same time. I have 2 from my naval officer father, but they contain cuss words so I can't use them. Crying face. They are hilarious though. I don't know half of you as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve. Do you know what I like about you? When they say what? You reply, see? You can't think of anything either. Not particularly devastating, but I call my cousin an unseasoned chicken wing when she's being really lame. Lol. Wouldn't say devastating, but a personal favorite of mine is you tasted toilet water as a child, didn't you? Insults need to be tailored to the individual. There isn't a one-size-fits-all approach without being lazy. I feel like it's simple. Resign. God, you're a jerk hits harder than more profane and elaborate insults. If you were on fire in the street, I'd siphon the last gallon of gas out of my own car to pour on you. After someone tries to be funny and fails horribly. You think you're wit? You're half right. He immediately brightens a room upon leaving it. Once said about former British Prime Minister Gordon Brown, I can see your mother gifted you with only 2 brain cells, and they are fighting for 3rd place. Not original, but my favorite is I have neither the time, nor the crayons to explain it to you. I'd rather take in the sense around the Bush Beans Company picnic than spend more time with you. Your mother should have let you drip down her leg. That one got me in trouble in 3rd grade. You looked dumb before you started talking. There are no words for what you looked like after. I never forget a face. But in your case, I'll be glad to make an exception. Groucho Marx had a drill sergeant that was fond of asking, did your mother have any children that lived? For me it's when someone says I disappointed them or am a disappointment. Speechless face. Childhood trauma. Disappointed face. Villain. I have done thy mother. Titus Andronicus Act 4, Scene 2. William Shakespeare. When God was at handing out brains, you thought he said trains, and got on one and left. I've heard it said that he's really on the ball. If that's the case, he hides it well. Today I saw someone called an absolute wet napkin and I thought that was a good one. Has anyone told you that you're doing a good job? If not, there's probably a reason. Please donate your brain to science, at least that way someone will actually use it. Recommending them an acne cream in a slightly patronizing concerned way always works. All your life, you've pursued intelligence. So far, it's always been quicker. Can you tell that the only people who are nice to you are doing it out of pity? It doesn't mean that much to me to mean that much to you. Neil Young. My grandmother, that boy ain't got the good sense that God gave a cucumber. You are impossible to underestimate. You never fail to meet my expectations. You're not pretty enough to be that stupid. I'd never say that to anyone. Lol. You couldn't guess which way an elevator is going if you had 3 guesses. Well, aren't you just a bona fide walking talking real life cautionary tale? Point to the ground. Hey dude, I think you dropped a couple chromosomes. I can't wait to go to your funeral knowing I could have changed that outcome. Someone needs to find the tree providing you your oxygen and chop it down. You're a model human being, that is a small replica of the real thing. Over 1 million years of constant human evolution to produce. You. I'm ending my existence in your life. Stole it from some 90-day dude. I have never been more disappointed in you as a kid from a parent. You look so much better. Like I was horrible before I lost weight. If you were any less intelligent, I'd have to water you twice a week. My dad used to tell my cousin that in a knife fight he'd be a spoon. You have the confidence of a much taller man. Keep that to yourself. You look like the type of person that orders spaghetti at Fazoli's. Ha ha ha. Oh wait, you're serious? Let me laugh even harder, ha 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 ha. You should have been a stain on the carpet instead of on society. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelled of elderberries. There is not enough Coke in the world to make you look attractive. Your mother was a hamster and your father smells of elderberries. Your mother was a hamster and your father smells of elderberries. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelled of elderberries. I bet your parents change the subject when people ask about you. Your forehead is so big, you can fit all of Puerto Rico in there. Every time you leave, it's like the sun shining on a cloudy day. If you were nicer, you'd get a better response out of people. I like the old-fashioned you should be ashamed of yourself. I hope you stub your toe on a table and step on a sharp Lego. I never forget a face, but in your case I'll make an exception. Got one. I refuse to have a battle of wits with an unarmed opponent. It's obvious she's not dumb. We can both hear her talking. Her personality consists of bowling shirts and Carhartt. You stare through them, just walk away. Silence is golden. You'd have been more useful as a crusty spot on the rug. You are the poster child for retroactive birth control. You basic. It's a human insult and it's devastating. Wow, you're actually a bad person. Hits pretty hard. The jerk store called and they're running out of you. You're the reason shampoo bottles have instructions. You look like you clap with your fingers spread apart. You ready for it? I know you are. But what am I? There's a village is missing, the idiot isn't there. Can you find another way to disappoint your parents? I find your ding-dong particularly withering. The best part of you dripped down your mother's leg. The best part of you dried up on your mom's thigh. A festering pustule on the buttocks of humanity.